So I've got Connor DC with me, works with me on the team, and every week, him and John do a weekly digest. And as part of the weekly digest, what they do is they find some tactical solution that the community in the Collab365 Academy needs building. But what I'm really interested in is actually finding out how they come up with having no idea in their head to creating a session that's top class that goes out to the world, and then what they do with it on demand. So I've got Connor here with me now that will be speaking next. So Connor, tell me, what do you do from the very first point of you having no idea in your head right through to that thing being finished and signed off and being pushed into done in outside of our planner?
So the big thing is we obviously need a demo to be able to share with the community. And the demo, we try to aim specifically at designing it in a way that it incorporates the other events and perhaps workshops and conferences that we're working towards over the next kind of couple of weeks, couple of months, so we can drive traffic
Yeah, so
into that sort of thing.
So what we try to do is we try at Club 365, we try to have themes of topics that we go forward with. And the current theme at the moment we're looking into is intranets, because we've got Jerry Brimacombe, who's a SharePoint intranets expert, going to do a full program for us. And we're also running a conference called Intranet Insights. So our theory being, for people that are on the fence and not sure they need skills of intranets, what we're trying to do is put small pieces of content and value out there so that they can start to think about the bigger picture, which is joining a sort of fuller training event later down the line. And so, Connor, you've been thinking about the theme this month, which is around internets, haven't you?
Yeah, so obviously with SharePoint intranets in mind, the Internet Insights event, we're thinking about ways that we can perhaps showcase demos, small solutions, small pieces of an intranet that people find most useful. And we got this idea from Jerry Brimacombe's session that he did for us this week, where he talked about six of the most common features inside of SharePoint intranets.
Yeah.
Now, the idea behind our sessions is we don't want to dive fully into giving absolutely everything away. What we do want to do is give small pieces of value that is also viable for people on YouTube to be able to watch, as well as small kind of teaser and tasters into this world of internet. So we're treating it from a kind of real basic fundamental point of view without all the bells and whistles. We're leaving that kind of up to Jerry to go over, and Internet Insights to hopefully cover some of those areas. But it's just enough to tease people into some of the things that they can learn inside of intranets, and hopefully take them on a kind of 6 to 7 week journey before the Internet Insights event happens, where they can come every week, receive a piece of value from us, and hopefully be intrigued enough to onboard onto the event afterwards.
Yeah. So it's about seeding that idea in people's heads that there is a better way to build an intranet. So if people are out there looking to build an intranet because they haven't got one, it's going to be perfect for them. And also, a lot of companies already have some form of an intranet, but it's not really working for the employees because of the problems. If we could put these little seeds of thoughts in people's heads right now, the bigger event when it happens will make way more sense to them. So we've agreed on the theme. What's the next thought process you had behind that, kind of? So you've seen the webinar, you've been to see Jerry, then what do you do next?
Obviously, every week our weekly digest sessions, they're a kind of collaborative effort. So both me and John, each week we take it in turns. We share who does the demo, who is more of the host of the meetings, so we get that balance between the two coaches in the meetings.
Yeah.
So we have to arrange and discuss how we're going to take that going forwards, and actually decide who's going to be doing the demos, who's going to be doing the hosting side of things. So first thing we do is we arrange a meeting to have a call with each other, which usually lasts about an hour and a half, where we discuss who's probably the best person to talk about specific topics, or the specific theme for that specific session. Because obviously both me and John share different expertise in different areas. So yeah, we'll jump on a call. The next step is we usually open a loop component, and the loop component is designed to basically allow us to work in real time whilst we're on that call, to jot down our ideas, to go over the flow of the session. So we have a kind of outline for that our weekly digest session that happens.
Do you
And
want to,
then,
can
sorry,
you
go
just show your loop, Connor, so I can have
on.
a look at
Yeah.
what you're planning? While you're doing that, it's probably worthwhile having a quick discussion around why you chose Loop as well. So obviously for my mind, Loop is really good because it's like a portable, collaborative little workspace that you can use in virtually everything. Like you sent me an invite to this Loop this morning and I get an email and I'm invited to join your Loop workspace. And I know that because it's like real time, everybody can see my updates. So it's like a turbocharged wiki, isn't it? Wiki library.
Yeah, I compare it very similar to perhaps working in Word over the cloud, so you can see exactly where people are. If I'm a loop, you can see exactly where people are, what they're typing in real time.
Yeah.
And the benefit of it as well is you also get called loop components, which gives you the ability to create things like tasks, to create tables and all of that sort of stuff in it. It's not just words, for example. So there's a lot you can do around it. You can move it to different places. You can send it in emails. You can share it in Teams if we chose to as well. And when you embed it in all these places, again, you can see all of those collaborative efforts in real time. So
Yeah.
it's just very handy when working, especially when you're on a call with somebody and you've both got ideas, and it's about getting those ideas down quickly,
Yeah.
and
It's a
then
bit
shaping
like
them up
a
afterwards.
collaborative real time OneNote, isn't it?
So yeah, on the screen, so this is an example which we've used the template of. So this template is something that we've been working on recently, and it was based kind of on the webinar effort that we went into of how to structure a webinar. So we wanted to go with a similar sort of approach in terms of the structure of the session. So we've got like a bunch of notes here, for example, how long each section should be and things that we want to talk about. So it's all about obviously introducing ourselves at the beginning, which is a kind of a standard thing that which we've got into the practice of doing now. But the big thing that we've tried to start implementing is getting people interactive within these sessions. They used to be quite quiet and quite dull. We'd get attendees there, but no one would be asking questions. And as presenters, obviously you want that interaction. You want to shape the conversation as you go through these. So we've got the section where we talk about
Yeah.
interaction. We spark questions. We drive interactivity. We get people typing in chat using the reactions icons and stuff like that. So we're usually driving questions around the topic that the weekly digest session covers. For example, in this one here, that where we talked about JSON inside of SharePoint, we basically just asked people about their experience with JSON, how much they know about it, and we just got them basically just put in really small phrases into chat just to show that they're here, they're paying attention, that they're interested in the topic. After about 10 minutes of that, we're going to what we call the demo content, which is the more planned out stuff. After we've planned our demo, we actually deliver the demo, and this is where we'll hand over to either myself or John, whoever's doing the demo. They'll take us through for 15 minutes while the other person monitors chat. And it allows us to get a really nice kind of snippet recording, which we can then go and chuck onto YouTube, which helps with obviously driving more people into these sessions and obviously helping the business grow in that sense. And then we've got some stuff at the bottom, which we decided we're not going to do at the moment, which was more web related. But essentially, this demo, this is the structure of the way the weekly digest sessions go. And each week it's about fleshing out what the demo and content section is. And that's why
Yeah.
we've got these different workplaces, workspace pages, I think they're called. I can never remember what they're called. Not workbooks, new pages, which are basically just demo inspired. So we just basically highlight things that we want to show in the demo. And this will probably be fleshed out close to the time. These are just placeholders at the moment for the topics within subtopics within the main topic of the session that we want to talk about. For example, one of the first sessions that we're going to deliver against this kind of SharePoint intranet topic is going to be on the lookbook, the basic design, looking at templates, page, some of the things that you can do just to kind of shape up your pages. So we've got a bunch of stuff here which we're going to show, from looking at the lookbook to looking at themes and headers, into going into some of the kind of fundamental questions that people ask, such as, well, what is a theme site? What's a communication site? How do I use hub sites? How do I link all that together, build the pages that I need to link all that stuff together? But again, we're looking at this from a very kind of top level view. This isn't an in-depth guide. This is very
Yeah.
much looking at the kind of the first look. Imagine you're going into SharePoint for the first time. You're creating the first web page for the first time. It's looking at the tools and the options that are out there to get you.
Yeah. And it's fair to say as well, because obviously at Club 365, we can't be experts in absolutely everything because the Microsoft 365 ecosystem is absolutely gargantuan. And I know, Connor, you're a massive specialist in Power Apps, but you're not a specialist in SharePoint. But obviously, we need to feel comfortable. We learn enough just in time in order to teach people as well. So SharePoint isn't one of our particular expert areas, it's more Jerry, and that's why we like to look at partners. But you've been tasked, John, as well, with tasked with looking into SharePoint intranets, and I know there's a lot of learning time for yourself as well, isn't there?
Yeah, on Wednesday, I spent a fair amount of time looking at the kind of process behind these demos because obviously I realised that we've got 6 sessions to plan, 6 weekly digest sessions to plan, and again that'll be obviously shared between me and John, who actually does the demo.
Yeah,
But yeah, spent a lot of time in SharePoint, kind of looking into the kind of SharePoint settings, for example, where I can actually find these things for myself because obviously I need to learn this stuff before I can share it with the community.
yeah,
And that's why we're trying to aim at delivering these as that kind of come on these sessions and the experience with us, share your own knowledge with the group as well as the coaches, because I think it's great that we all learn from each other. But obviously, the main push from these weekly digests is to, again, like I say, it's to show that high level look. We're showing them where the tools are, not necessarily how to use them, because, like I say, we're not experts in this area, but we know how to find the things that we want to show. And I think
yeah.
again, that, like you say, that's where people like Jerry, that's where these SharePoint experts that will hopefully be speaking at Internet Insights will be able to come in and they'll go, well, you've seen over the last maybe kind of 6 weeks Connor and John have been sharing some of these areas with you. You know where to find the navigation items, for example, in the navigation um, weekly digest session. But now we're going to talk about maybe like why you might want to use them, why you should use them in specific ways. And I think, again, that's where the experts with the experience are going to come into that.
I've got my glasses on, but they're still quite small for me. But it looks like we're going to do one on SharePoint. Oh, thank you, Connor. One on SharePoint contacts lists, one on SharePoint events and calendars, one on SharePoint news feeds, suggestion boxes, navigation, and obviously the lookbook. And so that's your plan for the next 7 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, so some of these sessions are going to be quite hands-on buildy stuff. You're going to be building stuff. I think the suggestion box and the contacts list one is very much build. LMS is a little bit kind of unknown at the moment. We're hoping to look to get Kelly Edinger, I believe, to talk about Viva, as I know that she's keen to do a Viva showcase with us.
Yeah.
So we thought that'd be a nice one to chuck in at the end. But yeah, there's going to be a mix of come along, build it with us, and also a bit more of a kind of show and tell, discover some new things. For example, where can you find some of these options, and looking into the places where you actually might want to look to start building them for yourself.
Yeah. Right. So we're now at the point where you've come up with the idea and it's based on a theme. You've used Loop to actually bring all that together and categorize it and jot your ideas around and be collaborative with John. Then you go and do a bit of research. So you go off to SharePoint, you look at some sites, you watch some other videos, you try lots of things out yourself. I know you do that. And then you rock up and you deliver their live session in the weekly digest inside of the Collab365 Academy. What does that look like? Is that where we just ask members to come and join on a Teams meeting?
So yeah, with in terms of the events, we purely promote the events at the moment to Academy members is via the events calendar within the Academy. So once we've got the demo layout perhaps ready, we know some of the things that we're going to be talking about, some of the things that we're going to be demoing. We've got enough then to share a little bit of an insight into the event with our Academy members. So I'll often either go to something like ChatGPT to help me write something that's a bit appealing to our members to try and get them
Yeah.
onto the event, or sometimes I'll write my own descriptions, but it's just enough to highlight with the titles and the description enough information about the event that's going to be appealing to somebody to intrigue them to actually want to come and attend. And then we publish those events inside the events calendar in the academy.
And more recently, we've just changed, haven't we? Because what we used to do is the Club 365 Academy is actually built on a platform called Circle. And Circle has a load of spaces which are like folders to storing content. But you can, as part of the platform, you can send out announcements. And what that will do is it will alert people who've got the mobile app that there's an event happening and also send them an email. But we've also got a lot of members on our list that don't really log in, or sorry, have not become members. So what we've done last time is Fraser and myself get involved because we deal more with the marketing and the back office side of things. We send an email out to all of our members now saying there's a weekly digest event happening. And we tried that new process for the first time on Jerry's, and it worked really well because we had a very large attendance, which is brilliant. And I think that's something where, as a company, we need to improve that because if you want to solve a goal as a company, you all need to fight together. And your weekly digest was you and John would go off and do the weekly digest, and Fraser and I'd work on something else. But now we're working out that it's much better to really strongly focus on one thing each week. And in this case, it's the weekly digest so that we can all jump behind that one thing and get as many people to the event receiving the value you're getting. Because there's no point you doing it if there's nobody going to come. So we should be doing that more to support you as well. And you also mentioned ChatGPT. Fraser and I use it a lot to give us some inspiration. So what I normally do is I've got an idea for an email, I'll write down a load of notes into Notepad, and I've actually created myself a custom GPT, which is a way to create like a shrink wrapped small little chat GPT inside a chat GPT that knows about the content, your style of voice, the particular email style you want, so what frameworks you use. And all we need to do now is paste the notes in of what we want for an email, and it will give you a very good first cut for an email that can go out to our members. So we use it internally, ChatGPT, quite extensively now.
So yeah, on the front of obviously trying to reach out to kind of new people as well, and I think that's where one of the issues that we've had is it's very hard to deliver content to externally to our social platforms, and that's where some of the work that I've been doing around this has really helped. Where essentially we're cross purposing, or what's the word I'm looking for?
I think
We
it
are
was cross-purposing,
cross-purposing
repurposing.
content that we're producing naturally and then reusing it in other areas. So, for example, what we'll do with the demos, and the reason that we've taken the time to structure them properly in Loop is so we have clean demos which we can take cuts out of the final edit of our weekly digest, and we can place them in our social channels such as YouTube as well. So we've got nice, clean 15-minute demos that sit as part of an hour-long weekly digest. But we've got nice short 15-minute demos which we can cut out, chuck on YouTube, using a lot of the SEO work which I've been doing, making sure it's tagged up with thumbnails, the right SEO description and keywords, making sure it's got chapters so people can navigate through that content, making sure it's got end screens and also link backs to the other content that we want to push inside of the academy as well. So hopefully the more we do these weekly digest sessions, the more content we produce, the more people we can bring into the academy, which in turn gets people to the weekly digest sessions, which means we can keep delivering these.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, Connor, because as a team of 4, you have to work really, really smart. So you have to think about everything you could do. And in fact, this is the most perfect example. And I'm not sure if we're going to put this on YouTube, Connor, but we might still do because I'm thinking this is probably quite good content because what you're sharing is amazing. But this is a perfect example. So Connor and I have just jumped on a call now because I write a newsletter, and as part of that newsletter, it goes onto LinkedIn. And what I need to do is I'm trying to share a lot of behind the scenes of how we work as a company because we fail a lot, but we also succeed a lot. And I'm trying to share tips and strategies that other people can learn from. And so what we're doing, instead of me just writing in inside of a Teams chat, Connor, how do you do this thing? Because I want to share that as a newsletter. What we've just done is we've just literally created a Teams meeting, jumped on a call. I've got the transcript running down on the right hand side of my screen now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that transcript and I'm going to put it into ChatGPT, and I'm going to ask it to summarize that for me into today's newsletter. And obviously, what I'm finding is what it gives you is never really good to publish. You still have to go and edit it, but it really, really gets you 90% of the way there. So it's fantastic for things like that. And I think as a small company, you have to work out smart little ways like that, and also like Connor says, you need to repurpose your content in as many ways as you can to get in front of as many people as you can, because you don't have an unlimited marketing budget and you can't afford to pay for ads for everything. So you have to work smartly. We've got to the point now where you post this, you use Camtasia, don't you, to edit the on-demand version of your weekly digest, and then you post it onto YouTube. And then is that the end of the story?
So once it goes onto YouTube, the next step again is talk about that repurposing of content, making sure that we're delivering as much information to that specific piece of content that we've produced. For example, the first one in our SharePoint series that's coming up is going to be about the lookbook, the page layouts, the design. Essentially, we'll take the demo from that, where we're showing how to install lookbooks. We're going to be showing obviously how to do the page to look for those tools. We'll create the demo from that. We'll chuck that onto YouTube. That'll get SEO'd up with thumbnails, the right keywords, everything kind of looking the way we want it to give YouTube the best chance of delivering viewers to that content. But then also internally, what we'll do is I will take what we did in that demo, and or John will take what we did in that demo, and we'll produce a blog post for the Power Platformers on it as well, with a little bit of blurb as to kind of what the topic's about. And then we'll embed that YouTube video there as well. So again, we're getting that kind of cross link between YouTube, the blog post, the academy. So hopefully people have multiple ways in of finding this content, because we're trying to also, it goes back to the right at the beginning when we talk about the topics, is one of the key things. Obviously this one, because we're working on insights, makes sense for us to do internet based topics. But in most cases, what we'd ideally be doing is be looking at what is commonly searched for in YouTube, in Google, so we can meet those or answer those problems in our weekly digests, which means we get the content, we can answer the problems via YouTube and social and our blog posts, which
Mm.
hopefully drives traffic to all of our sites and brings them in.
Yes, and that's where I take over. So what we do is we use Planner, and we'll push a Planner card into the done column, and then I look for my newsletter. I look down at what everybody's done, and then I try to always answer the question for any given task that's been done. I try to answer the question of, like, why have we been doing that? If you've been writing a blog post, why have you written that blog post? And I think that why is the story I'm trying to tell. So if you've written a blog post about how to create a button with JSON, why have we done that? What are we trying to solve? And there's a phrase which is called popping your why stack. And if you keep saying why and asking yourself the same question, you get to the root cause. Because obviously in a company like ours, we don't want to be doing stuff for the sake of it. There has to be a reason. And I think if I can start to share that reason with people, I think that's probably quite an interesting story. So it's really good you've shared that. And the last thing that comes to mind, really, that what I would do with that content is we run the Daily Digest. And if you're not on the Daily Digest, I strongly recommend you to subscribe, because another stellar job that Connor does every single day, he trawls the internet and he finds the best articles around our Microsoft 365, and we add them into a service called Feedly. And then we've got a automation that wakes up when he adds them to a particular board in Feedly, which puts them into our Daily Digest, and that goes out every single day. And I think we're nearly up to 20,000 members now. So one of the things that we'll also do is when we post one of our blog posts, we will put it onto the Daily Digest. And it's a conversation we have quite often: is there anything to go to the Daily Digest from the team? So we'll pop it on there, then it goes out to nearly 20,000 people. And that's the cycle of from start to finish. We've probably forgotten some things because they do take a long time, but that's it. Unless there's
Yeah, I think
anything else
that's
you'd like to add.
the last thing is the beauty of this kind of whole process is, I think we all have great ideas all of the time, and often halfway through this process, either yourself, Fraser, or John, or me will come up with another idea of how we can cross-purpose this, maybe produce a workshop out of it, or some
Yeah,
other form of piece of content, and
yeah. And
eventually you just end up building this stack of content related to this one thing.
when you're running a training academy, you can survey your members as much as you like, and you will get some really good information back from it. But a lot of the time, you're not sure what training they want next. And what's the beauty of doing these videos and doing these blog posts and putting out things on the Daily Digest and monitoring what's popular is we get lots of ideas about what people do what next. And one particular example that we've done, which has probably taken me way too long, but it's a lot of fun, is I've been creating a single sign-on learning management system with Thrive Apprentice. So Thrive Apprentice is a WordPress plugin, and it's an LMS system that is absolutely amazing. It's really, really cheap when you compare it to something like a third-party LMS system you'd want to buy. And I managed to get Thrive Apprentice working with single sign-on into the Microsoft 365 tenancy. So when you're logged into Microsoft Teams, if you've imagined there's a tab on there with your access to our LMS, when you click there, you're automatically logged in, but it's actually WordPress behind the scenes, and you can actually deliver training to people with Thrive Apprentice. And so what I've been doing is I've written an entire blog series. It's not quite finished yet, but I'm going to do newsletters on that as well, that shows people what the art of the possible is with creating that LMS, right from how you choose the right WordPress host, what do you need in an LMS, to how do you create a single sign-on, how do you set up Thrive Apprentice, how do you create a Teams tab, how do you integrate it back into things like Power BI. So I've created a blog post series all about those, and it's probably taken me the best part of 3 or 4 days, to be honest. But that, for me, is far, far cheaper than if I said to you, Connor, I think our community would really enjoy a training course on building a LMS system with WordPress and that hooks into Microsoft Teams, because that will take you 3, 4, 5 months. and that will cost us a lot of money. So what we try to do is do these cheap ways of getting as many people to put their hand up and go, "That's training I'd like," without actually doing it. And so one of the things we're gonna do on the blog post series I've done is we're gonna have a list, which is, if you'd be interested in training on this, join this early adopter list. We'll probably do some special offer. And if people do take that, we know that there's definite interest there. If nobody fills that form in, we've just saved ourselves 2 or 3 months worth of effort. And I think that's another area where we trying to be a bit more smart as a company and be a lot more clever with our time.
Yeah, I think that goes into one of the terms that you've spoken about before, and that's the whole kind of buy versus build sort of stuff as well. So, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, we've got workshops on LMS. You've also been producing this kind of quick way into your WordPress and Thrive Apprentice thing using blog posts, but also there's Viva, which is almost an untalked about topic, ultimately solves the same thing. So it'd be interesting to compare and contrast the three different variations, because we know that training and learning within a company is important, and we know that's quite a sought after thing. But yeah,
yeah.
knowing the best way to deliver that, the best reason why people want it delivered in certain ways, or how they want to implement it within their intranet, their structure, I think is important. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see which one is the most sought after.
Yes, I know, and I know you've done it. If anybody's watching this and they're interested, Connor's done the most fantastic 8-hour workshop on how to build a learning management system using the Power Platform, which I think, Connor, correct me, it's Power Apps, Dataverse with SharePoint. Is that correct?
Just power ups and Database.
Just Power Apps and Dataverse. I don't know how you actually soldiered on through for all 8 whole hours. It was amazing. I think it was over 2 days, but it was still amazing how you kept your focus. In fact, it's our best-selling workshop. So if that is something you're interested in, building a fully working learning management system with the Power Platform that seamlessly integrates into Microsoft 365, then take a look at that workshop. But thank you so much for that, Connor. That's awesome. I now have all of the juice I need once I've taken this transcript to create probably 3 or 4 newsletters out of this. So you've just saved me a massive job. So thank you very much.